Hello everyone, welcome to Mastermind. In this video, let us discuss about cyclones. This will be important part of our General Studies paper 1. Under General Studies paper 1 in geography section, especially in the geographical features and their locations, changes in critical geographical features, etc. In that part, this will be very important for us. So let us start from very basics of cyclones. Before we go into cyclones, let us understand small concept related to pressure. Related to pressure. So you might have also seen in NCRT that in lot of places they have mentioned about either low pressure or they have mentioned about high pressure. So what is this low pressure and high pressure when it comes to geography? That is one thing which we have to understand. So what happens is when, let us consider this as air. Let us consider this as air, for example. Now when this air heats up, when there is more heat to the air, what happens? The air ascends, that is, it starts to go upwards. It starts to go upwards. So whenever there is a heat, the air starts to go upwards. So from this place, the air is going upwards. So the air is ascending. The air is ascending. So when the air is ascending, the area which is created, this will be of low pressure. This will be of low pressure. Now the phenomenon is that whenever there is low pressure, the wind from surrounding areas will try to come towards this place because there is low pressure. Okay, so the air ascends because of heat, and because of that low pressure is created. Now the inverse of this is high pressure. So whenever this air which is going upwards, which is ascending, right, so as it goes upwards, it cools down also. It cools down also, and when it cools down, it becomes heavier. It becomes heavier. So it comes back again. So whatever air is coming on this particular surface, let's say this particular surface, it is creating high pressure. So always the air rushes from high pressure area to low pressure area. So I hope the basics at least are clear over here, that what exactly is high pressure and low pressure. Now let us come to cyclones. So after understanding this concept, we have to understand what is cyclone. So whenever we see what exactly is cyclone, they say that it is inward air circulation. Inward air circulation. Okay, so it is inward air circulation. And why is this inward air circulation? It is because of hot air moving upwards. Hot air moving upwards. So hot air is moving up. Then why does this air circulate in the inward direction? For that, we have to understand how exactly these oceans and the winds work. We'll not go in so much detail. We'll understand as much as it is required to understand what cyclones are. Now let us take this to be 0 degree. That is equator. This is equator. Now there is Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn. 23.5 degree north. This is 23.5 degree south. Okay, 23.5 degree north and 23.5 degree south. Now let us consider there to be ocean over here. This we are taking as an example. Now because of sunlight, because this is tropic region, correct? Now what is tropic region? Where there is sunlight which is directly falling. Sunlight is directly falling on this region, and hence it is tropic region. And because the sunlight is falling on this ocean also, let us consider this to be ocean, correct? So sunlight is falling on this, then the air on this particular region heats up, and like we have seen, what happens? Hot air ascends, it goes up. Along with that, even the earth is rotating, right? The earth is revolving and the earth also is rotating, and because of that rotation there is Coriolis force. There is Coriolis force. Because of the rotation there is this Coriolis force, and because of all these things what happens is the air starts to circulate in this direction, circulate in this direction, and in that case in the middle low pressure is created. In the middle low pressure is created, and that is called as cyclone. So this cyclone, this is very harmful as we all know, and because whenever it moves towards the coast of any particular country, or it whenever it moves towards the coast, and then there is lot of destruction which is caused by these cyclones. But what is cyclone? It is inward air circulation, inward air circulation due to upward movement of hot air, that is called as cyclones. Now, in cyclones, there are two categories which we have to remember. In cyclones, there are two categories which we have to remember. So, what are the types of cyclones? First one is tropical cyclones, and second one is extra tropical cyclones. Or you can remember it as, instead of extra, you can remember it as temperate cyclones. So what are two types? One is tropical cyclones and the others are temperate cyclones. Now let us get back to this earth again. So this region is called as tropical region, correct? So this region is our tropical region. After tropical region, what you have? Till this thing, Arctic Circle and Antarctic Circle. So this region is temperate region, correct? This region is temperate region. Later on you have poles. So when the cyclones are caused in this region, in the tropical region, they are called as tropical cyclones. When it is caused in the temperate regions, they are called as temperate cyclones. It is also known as middle latitude cyclones, or it is also known as wave cyclones. I hope basics about the cyclones are clear. So what we have seen about the pressure before. We saw how the pressure is created, what is low pressure and what is high pressure. Later on we saw that the cyclones are inward air circulation due to upward movement of hot air. And then we saw there are types of cyclones, that is tropical cyclones and temperate cyclones. Now what are the conditions for the cyclones? What are the conditions under which cyclones emerge? First one is, because this air has to heat up, you need more temperature. Correct? So the sea surface temperature, because it is in the ocean, right? So sea surface temperature has to be more than 27 degrees centigrade. Very, very important. So what are the conditions for cyclones? First one is, sea surface temperature has to be at least 27 degree or more. And for the circulation, what we need? We need Coriolis force. For circulation, we need Coriolis force. Correct? So first one is sea surface temperature has to be 27 degrees Celsius or more. Second one is there needs to be Coriolis force. And how is that affected? Because of the wind. Wind has to be there, right? So there has to be wind, that is small variations in the vertical wind. So this speed, as it varies, it increases and decreases. And there has to be low pressure which has to be present. Okay, so these are four important conditions. These are four very important conditions. So what are the conditions again? The conditions are, sea surface temperature has to be at least 27 degrees Celsius, and then there has to be presence of Coriolis force. Then there has to be variation in the vertical wind speed, and there has to be low pressure which has to be present. Now let us look at a few points from the perspective of prelims or from objective type of questions. Now this tropical cyclone is formed only over warm ocean. Okay, only over warm ocean water near equator. Why near equator? Because it is tropical, because that place only gets heated up more and more. That place only gets heated up more and more. Okay, that place gets heated up more and more. Now, next very important point which we have to remember is that these inward air circulations, because of the hot air moving upwards, are called as cyclones. And these are called as cyclones only, these are called as cyclones only in the Indian Ocean region. Indian Ocean region. So they are called as cyclones only in the Indian Ocean region. Then you may ask that we were discussing that in the tropical region, wherever there is ocean and it gets heated up, there causes cyclone. So if it is, let's say, this is the Indian Ocean region, let's say example, this is the Indian Ocean region, then what about the cyclones which happen in other places there? So in other places there are different names, that's all. They are called as hurricanes. They are called as hurricanes in Atlantic Ocean. Atlantic Ocean. So we have seen that only over warm ocean water near the equator these are formed. So if these are formed near Indian Ocean, they are called as cyclones. If they are formed in Atlantic Ocean, they are called as hurricanes. And third one, if they are formed in Pacific Ocean, that is Western Pacific and South China Sea, there they are called as typhoons. Very important. In South China Sea also they are called as typhoons, and in Western Pacific region also they are called as typhoons. Whereas if it is causing near Australia, if it is causing near Australia, then they are called as willy willies in Western Australia. Western Australia. So these type of questions are the ones which are most repeated. These type of questions are the ones which are way too much repeated. Also, there is a condition for naming of cyclones also, because it has to be easier for people to remember that. Okay, previously the names were the names for the cyclones were just numbers and technical terms. Later on, the cyclones which form in every ocean basin across the world are named by RSMC. Very, very important. What is this RSMC? It is regional specialized meteorological centers. Regional specialized meteorological centers. This along with tropical cyclone warning centers. Tropical cyclone warning centers. Tropical central cyclone warning centers. So RSMC and TCWC, they name the cyclones. Now there are 6 of these, that is there are 6 of these RSMCs in the world, including Indian Meteorological Department, and then there are 5 TCWCs. So for example, if you are considering cyclones, then the countries around the Indian Ocean region will be naming the cyclones, correct? Because it is affecting these countries only. So there are countries like Bangladesh, India, Myanmar, then Maldives, then you have Oman, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Thailand, Iran, Qatar, Saudi Arabia. So example, these countries will be naming the cyclone. What happens is, for example, now one cyclone came and the cyclone is, let's say, named ABC. Example, I'm just giving an example, and this is named by Bangladesh. No matter what, if this cyclone affects India also, Bangladesh only is naming it. If the cyclone affects, let's say, other country also, Bangladesh only will name it. Whereas next cyclone when it comes, the next country after Bangladesh, let's say India will be naming that. Even if that cyclone is not affecting India, India will be naming it. So these are named by RSMC and TCWC. So I hope you have understood about the basics of cyclones and how the naming of cyclone takes place, and other important points including the pressure. So at the end of this e-paper, there are few other multiple choice questions for other articles which you can read. So I'll see you soon in the next one.